Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Housing, Land Use, Environment, and Transportation Committee meeting. I'd like to call this meeting for April 16th, 2026 to order at 10:05 a.m. I'm Margaret Abikoga, the chair of the committee. I'm here with our vice chair, Sylvia Arenas. And a quick note, housekeeping note at this time, if you could please turn off or mute all electronic devices, including cell phones that may interrupt the meeting. I'd very much appreciate that. And with that, Nathan, would you mind calling roll, please?
Chairperson Abikoga.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Great, thank you. We'll go to public comment. This is for items reserved for persons who wish to address the committee on any matter within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee that is not on the agenda. The law does not permit committee action or extended discussion of any item not on the agenda except under special circumstances. Members of the public who wish to address the committee on a non-agendized item should request to speak at this time by giving a request to speak form, the yellow form, to the deputy clerk if you are in the chambers, or by using the raise hand icon if attending virtually. Are there any speakers?
We have one in chambers and none online.
Can we do 2 minutes then, please?
Paul Kermoyan. You can approach the podium and speak. The timer will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you. So I'm here tonight to speak on two items on the agenda, and I just thought while I'm here, let me bring up an item that is not on the agenda, but something that the planning director should be aware of. Back in 2023, I identified an issue in my neighborhood, and I reported it to the planning division. I was told that what was happening was okay. I disagreed. I read the code. I know the code. I've written code. We got into a discussion. I had a meeting with the county council and staff. Still, I said I disagree. I want to appeal your decision to the planning commission. They said, well, no, you can't do that. You need an official interpretation. I said, well, you gave me an interpretation. I have it. It's written out. Well, no, it needs to be official. So I said, okay, well, what do I need to do? Well, I submit an application. So I submitted an application January 2024, paid over $700. Here, I'm still waiting. I've contacted the department numerous times. I've contacted the executive officer saying, please help me. No response. I'm being shunned. I'm being silenced. Is this a pattern? I don't understand. So I'm here tonight just asking, can someone let me know what's the status of my application? Thank you.
Could staff follow up with the gentleman? Is there someone here who could?
Yes, the Deputy Director, Anastasia Aziz, is speaking with him right now.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and may I
Yes.
suggest we'll take it offline and then work with the
Yes.
applicant.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Anyone else?
That is all the requests to speak we had before we close the queue.
Great, thank you. We will close public comment now, then go to item 3, which is the consent calendar. Are there any items you wish to make changes or comment on, Supervisor Arenas?
No, but I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you. I'll second the motion. Is there any public comment on the consent?
I do not have any requests to speak.
Okay, and so then, would you mind taking a roll call vote?
Vice Chairperson Arenas.
Yes.
Chairperson Abikoga.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to the regular agenda, and the item 4 is to receive a report from the Office of the County Executive relating to fiscal year 2026-27 budget proposals from the departments reporting to the Hewlett Committee. Before we begin with the presentations, I just wanted to add a little context. I've also provided a memo. It was posted this online as well, though there is a revision to it. Given that the county is in a position this year where we are challenged with a budget reduction potential. It's warranted us to have a more scrutinizing look at each proposal and how they fit into the direction that the board has in mind. In addition, I'm looking for the board to have a larger presence in the development of the budget, which was a factor in having the budget proposals released to the committees earlier than in previous years. It's important for us as policymakers to be able to review and provide feedback on these proposals, and I hope with this memo that the Hewlett Committee can make some thoughtful recommendations to move forward with budget workshops with the full board next month. So I understand that today's proposals that will be provided by the departments are those that have been submitted to the county executive. The county executive will then in turn look at everything and come up with his recommended proposal of which the board will respond to. But this was our hope for us to have a better understanding of what is being presented, what all the factors are, and so I very much appreciate staff working with us to provide that information. Also, I wanted to mention that I'm still looking for more transparency regarding the Object 2 funding. This was a referral that Supervisor Ellenberg and I wrote to provide the board with divisions in Object 2 between supplies and direct services so that we could better understand the service impacts on constituents that are happening through this budget. So I'm very interested in seeing those details around Object 2. With that, I would like to start. We'll go department by department. I believe each department has a short presentation, and then we'll open it up for questions, Q&A, and then we'll take public comment at the very end on all of the departments, if that works for everybody. Yeah, great. So we'll start with Office of Supportive Housing. KJ?
And before we start with our first department, if I may, I wanted to take a moment to reiterate some of the comments with respect to where we are in the project. So the process. So this is Sylvia Gallegos, Deputy County Executive, on behalf of the Office of the County Executive. We are in the middle of the FY27 recommended budget process. As you'll recall, departments were giving targets late last year and had to, in totality, come up with roughly $200 million in proposals, and that was a revised target based on the successful passage of Measure A, the sales tax, that helps mitigate some of the impacts that the organization is facing. The recommended budget will be released around May 1st. Then the board will go into budget workshops, and they start May 11th. The Hewlett Committee workshop will be on Wednesday, May 13th. And the intent is to provide an opportunity for the board to study the recommended budget in depth and signal to the county exec your respective priorities and other kinds of comments. After the release of the recommended budget, we'll go through what I describe as the board budget modification process. You're going to see at the same time revised recommendations. There'll be new information. So for example, around May 15th, we'll see the state may revise. We'll have corrections to technical errors and other changes. So it's the recommended budget is just a point in time because the budget is constantly being modified. So then you're going to go into the June budget hearings starting the week of June 15th, where the board will adopt, and we will in fact have at the end an adopted budget that reflects a balanced budget for the next fiscal year. What I wanted to reiterate, and you spoke to this, Chairperson Abe Koga, is that these are the raw departmental reduction proposals submitted to meet the targets that were given each department. These proposals may change, some may not be accepted, some may be modified, and so I want to really reiterate for the public that this is not the recommended budget, and you referenced that as well in your comments. So with that, we do have OSH that has the first presentation. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Good morning, KJ Kaminsky, Director for the Office of Supportive Housing. So before I talk about our approach and summarize the budget proposals, just want to orient you to you're very familiar with the services that our office provides, but I want to orient you to the structure because that is how we submitted our proposals. OSH has 143 full-time employees. And our divisions include our homelessness prevention division that's responsible for operating and managing our homelessness prevention system as well as other programs. Our emergency preparedness and crisis response team is responsible for overseeing all temporary housing, outreach, and basic needs. That also includes safe parking. Our supportive housing team is responsible, or it includes our client engagement. Those are the folks that do outreach and connect people to permanent housing, as well as case management and supportive services. Both the first three teams mentioned here, the majority of that work is overseeing programs that are operated in partnership with community-based organizations. Then we have our housing and community development team that's responsible for housing development, asset management, and community development. Our continuum of care team oversees our duties as the collaborative applicant for our entire community. That includes data management, submitting our application to the U.S. Housing and Urban Development Department, and also working with our partners to develop policy for our supportive housing system. And then finally, we have fiscal and administrative support, which includes grants and contracts, our fiscal team, and our administrative support team. Next slide, please. So our approach to this year's budget reduction targets was to try to maintain the capacity of our programs, to continue to provide services that are much needed, that may be even more needed given the current situation in our community. Our goal is to keep people that we have housed, and to continue to prevent people from becoming homeless. We approached this by a few ways. One, increasing revenue when possible, identifying savings in existing contracts, moving services between contracts or from the county to community-based organizations, including consolidating some services, and proposing the elimination of some positions when those functions would not directly impact our program capacity. In terms of new revenue, we proposed increasing our revenue related to supporting our homeless management information system. We have proposed a new loan origination fee that we expect to come back to this committee and the board in the fall. And then additional CalAIM revenue that is based on our data and projections of what we've been able to generate across our supportive housing system. Across our teams, for the housing and community development team, the emergency crisis response team, the COC team, and the financial and administrative operations. For all of these, we have proposed reductions in staffing and restructuring of these teams without impacting our program capacity. The impacts we'll see some duties that will shift between staff. We will see some functions that we're able to perform be reduced, and some services will be contracted to vendors. On our homelessness prevention side, we are proposing to integrate all of the prevention services into our HPS, our homelessness prevention system, which is our evidence-based model, which does mean the elimination of some contracts and provide savings to the general fund and administrative efficiencies while preserving the capacity of our prevention system. For the supportive housing team, our supportive housing across permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing programs, the vast majority of that is currently provided by community-based organizations. We have proposed to transition the remaining case management services that are provided in our office to community-based organizations, that the rest to align with the rest of our system. While maintaining the capacity. So the level of service, the number of people and households we can serve will remain the same. There will be no reduction. And then lastly, I'll just note that we also, the proposals include transfer of a program from OSH to SSA without reducing the capacity or service level of that program. And our proposals include a request for supportive services funds for the new supportive housing developments supported with Measure A that are coming online in the upcoming fiscal year. And happy
Through
to
the
take-
chair, may I ask, KJ, could you repeat that last?
So every year, we identify the services that will be needed to support people moving into development supported with Measure A, 2016 Measure A Affordable Housing Bond Funds, because when that bond was passed, the board approved, made a commitment to provide the supportive services. So every year we identify the units, apartments that will be coming online and the household needs. So you'll see that proposal for those services as well.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions or comments, Supervisor Arnauz?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. Are those all the departments that are going to
Oh, we're
present?
going to go department by
Oh,
department. for
okay, I'm
Q&A.
sorry, I thought you meant.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the work that's being done. I know it's challenging, I'd say, and I appreciate that you're trying to maintain the levels of service. My only one concern is with Proposal 168.007. And you, the last item you talked about, and this
What
is something.
page is that on, Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have it separated with, I have my own notes, so, it's on the, let's see, expand supportive housing services for affordable housing bond development, so just what we, just talked about in terms of all of the new units that come online. There's the supportive the supportive wraparound services that are required with those, and that's the challenge. Is that as we get more units, we have to budget for more services. So it's just a growing need, which is fine, but we have to continue to find the funding to be able to provide those needs. So it's just a point that I noticed too that I wanted to mention, and something that we need to keep our eye on.
KJ, do you know what page number that is?
I
On the
believe it's
report?
page 19.
Perfect, thank you.
Proposal 168007. And through the chair, if I may, I would note, in previous years, OSH also has tried to generate revenue to support, to offset some of those costs. We often have been able to apply for new continuum of care grants. Because of the situation with the COC funds this year, that wasn't a possibility. We will not be receiving new COC grants, but if that changes in the future, we'll absolutely look at all sources to generate revenue to offset the costs of the county.
Great. Thank you so much. If we're okay, can we move on to item 2 then, which is the Planning and Development Department?
Good morning, Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning and Development. I will be brief in our presentation as we have outlined. We have 96 full-time equivalent employees within the department. Our department is divided up by administration, planning services, and development services. And within the planning division, within the planning and development department, it's our mission to facilitate safe construction, to have balanced development, to have conservation strategies by applying fair and equitable application of our county policies, ordinances, and our regulations. To that end, our proposed budget, we had not increased our fees since 2015. And so we have been, for the past year and a half, diligently working on increasing our fees to become as close to cost recovery as possible. So our proposal, our budget proposal, is the consideration of deleting one office specialist, because as we have been looking at efficiencies within our department, we have staff that are able to perform these tasks. And so we're proposing one FTE, an office specialist. We looked at our services and supplies to make sure that we were being transparent and accountable for how we were using taxpayers' monies, and so we have modified the uses of some of our services and supplies. But we have a projected revenue of $1 million in our plan check fees, and the update of our fees that have already been approved by the board. And we're looking at a one-time expenditure for our software enhancement and one of our general plan elements, what we're calling the parks, recreation, and open space element, and the preparation of that. And this concludes staff's presentation. We're available for any questions you may have. I have Stuart Petrie, our Deputy Director of Administration, and Courtney Ramos from Matrix, who has been working with us on our overall fee study. She is present if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Supervisor Arenas, or comments? Oh, okay. Thank you. I just had one question or concern regarding the reductions in the permit center, and concern about whether that could cause delay in processing the applications, and hoping you could elaborate on that.
The office specialist position is not a position that processes permits. Our permit center is staffed by our permit technicians and our program manager for the permit center. Where there may be an impact, and I will let Deputy Director Stuart Patry speak to this a little more fluidly, but where we may see, we are not right now anticipating a delay in the processing of permits, because we're not proposing any change to our permit staff. Stuart.
Thank you, Director Anciano, and thank you for the question, Chair Abekoga. The executive team at the department focused on looking at positions that were not going to impact permit processing.
Okay.
So that's why you don't see, a plan check engineer position or a permit technician position. The office specialist position does play a critical role in our customer service-facing functions. They answer the phones, they route folks and provide information at our front counter. But we have actually been backfilling this with temporary staffing, which has sufficiently supported us over this last 6 months or so due to a vacancy that came up.
Okay.
I think really more so this position will reduce some capacity for more administrative functions, such as being responsive to CPRA requests, though we will ensure that the department is responsive and timely based on the law.
Yes.
But it might take a little bit more time for us to do some of those responses. But we are not anticipating direct impact to the processing of permit applications.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes.
I'm wondering about, you have a reduction in, I think, the language. Let me find it here. The legal and expended language services from 110 to 64,000 and 50 to 10,000 respectively. What I'm wondering is, how are you going to translate some of those documents? Because at this point, we have an item later, which is the rural zoning ordinance, and we have a large Chinese community in my district that has not received that ordinance in their language, or in Spanish, for that matter. Are we still going to be able to comply with the needs of our community if there's this reduction?
Yes, we will be able to comply. Some of the reduction was related to some of our larger projects that we had been processing and the need to have legal services and interpretive services, such as the Sargent Ranch development that was, that application has been withdrawn. And so we are confident that we will be able to satisfy the needs of the community relative to our services.
Okay, I'll ask that specific question in the other item that's coming up, but, okay, so those are specifically connected to projects, it sounds like, to that particular Sargent project?
Well, some of our larger development, we get legal services and interpretative services are expanded. And so we had a legal team helping us on the Sargent Ranch development.
Got it, okay. Thank you. Actually, the other item that I'm concerned about is the recommendation that is happening with the Agriculture Resilience Incentive Grant Program and Agricultural Liaison position. And so, Sylvia, I see you're shaking your head.
There'll be a point later in the presentation under the Consumer Environmental Protection Agency to have
That's
that
right.
conversation.
It is under SEPA. You know what? I see it so connected to your department, but it is SEPA technically. All right. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. If we can move on to to the third department, which is SEPA, Consumer and Environmental Protection Agency.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Edgar Nolasco, SEPA Director. We have a short presentation, more of an overview. SEPA is made up of 8 core programs, and we are made up of 138 dedicated individuals. We're divided into 2 budget units, Budget Unit 262 and 411, 411 being our vector control district. Our 8 programs are broken down by agriculture, animal services, household hazardous waste, integrated waste management, mosquito and vector control district, weed abatement, weights and measures, and watershed protection. Next slide, please. Our budget proposals were made to create efficiencies and effectiveness in the services that we deliver to our clients all across the county. As you saw before, we're made up of 8 core departments with different funding mechanisms, some of them being special fund, some of them being general fund. So our goal was to optimize operational efficiency with redistributing current job duties by streamlining service delivery and leveraging digital tools. As part of our budget proposal to make operational reductions, we are deleting 4 vacant positions all across different entities without compromising our services. Also, we have a contract service reduction. In order to then offset our dependency on general fund, we increase our fees, and this will be our 3rd year that will come to your board with increasing fees in different areas of SEPA. Also leveraging our partnerships with the cities to bring them more closely to cost recovery, especially when it comes to animal services. We've been partnering with the city of Gilroy, the city of Morgan Hill, and the city of Sunnyvale. And we're also exploring different partnerships in terms of sheltering with other municipalities in hopes to bring additional revenues to animal services and not be as dependent on the general fund. Also, we have a one-time request to purchase a retail motor fuel testing truck. Currently, we have 1 truck that services all of the gas stations in the county. In order to protect consumer protection, if you've seen our stickers that has our new ag sealers in the chambers with us today, they do testing for all motor fuel in the county. We can't keep up with the mandates of the state in terms of testing. This is our way of increasing capacity, but also increasing the protection to our consumers. That is the end of my presentation, and open to any questions that you may have.
Great. Thank you so much. Any questions, Supervisor?
Yep. I'll look to Sylvia. I think you understand what my concern is. Oh, and just for the public, I'm concerned about the reduction to the University of California Cooperative Extension, as well as the Agriculture Resilience Incentive Grant Program.
So let me respond to your concern. Let me start with the RE grants. There's a proposed reduction of $20,000. And in my discussion with the UC Cooperative Extension Director, as I understand it, and this conversation occurred a couple of months ago, that they also are administrating grants for the federal government. And so, as I understand it from the director, that they could continue to administer our grants and simply drawing down from the federal government to provide that administrative support. So in effect, it's not an impact to us. With respect to so in other words, let me just clarify. So they are administrating grants on behalf of the county.
Right.
And there are also grants that they're administering for the federal government. And there's a portion of the federal funding that they use for administration, and they believe they have the capacity to continue to administer our grants, notwithstanding the $20,000 reduction.
So the reduction isn't in the actual grant, not that we're reducing what we're providing.
That's correct.
It is just the administrative
That's correct.
oversight of the grant. Okay. All right, and then how about the actual liaison? Because
Sure.
if we're reducing the liaison, isn't the liaison the one who's administrating the grant program?
So let me provide some context for that position. As you'll recall, the planning department led an effort to create an ag plan, really trying to preserve our agricultural lands, and that was adopted in 2018. In the aftermath of that, the prior ag commissioner in SEPA and a principal planner who was led this project oversaw a position, a contract position that was created with UC Cooperative Extension to help us implement the plan. And this is in 2018. Since that time, through the board's leadership, the current board, we've added an ag position, a senior planner in the planning department, and then we've also added a position, an ag tourism position, if you will, in the Office of Economic Development in the Office of the County Executive. And we also have a new ag commissioner who's more oriented towards better supporting the ag community in Santa Clara County. With my colleague, Ms. Hernandez, and I, we are working with our respective teams to take leadership with respect to implementing all aspects of the plan. And so from that respect, there's less of a need to have this particular position because we're going to pick up that work with the additional resources added to the budget. And that was the thinking around that.
Thank you. So I think this is not, the item for rural zoning is not until item 6, but you'll see that this committee doesn't have this kind of attendance on an ongoing basis. This is because we have stakeholders in South County who are very much worried, concerned about their livelihoods, which is in the agricultural industry. And although I understand the overlap between because I requested this for the economic development with a focus on our agricultural industry so that we can elevate that industry and hopefully create an agritourism spot in our county. But currently, I think that there is a real need, and I wish that the item 6 was before this item so that my committee could hear, or the chair could hear some of those concerns and understand the complexity of this rural zoning and how it overlaps with the viability of an industry. And it is not enough to have just the planning department. As you saw, I made a mistake by saying, oh, this is in the planning department. It isn't. It isn't in the planning department, although there is a need for additional support. And so I respectfully disagree with your recommendation. I'm not going to be able to support a motion that includes the reduction of this item. I'll go ahead and agree with the reduction of the 20,000 in terms of the overhead or the shared overhead cost, because that makes sense. But at this point, when we have a rural zoning ordinance, we need somebody who has been working with the agriculture industry, who understands it, who has established a relationship with them. And I'm not comfortable at this moment saying that we have that already in-house. We don't. We will be letting go of the person who actually does have that kind of partnership, even if it is a contract. And I'm not saying let's continue this on an ongoing basis. I just think at this moment, because we have the rural zoning ordinance and it's not done, and because we have the reestablishment of the economic Office of Economic Development that will play a part and overlap with this industry, I just think that there is additional need for support, and so I won't be able to support a motion that includes that.
Understood. We'll take this message back to the county executive. I want to reiterate that this is not the recommended budget, and we'll have to wait until it gets published in May to see what is contained in there. But we hear you very clearly in terms of what your priorities are.
Thank you.
So I would suggest, if we want to, at the end, take some motion. I would look to you, Supervisor Arenas, for wording on revisiting or reevaluating the reduction and asking staff to administration to come back with alternatives if we want to maintain that.
My suggestion is at the budget workshops, when you actually see what's contained in the recommended, is a good opportunity to re-engage with respect to that conversation. It may or may not be in the recommended budget.
Yeah, I mean, we can maybe discuss further, but in our other, HHC yesterday, we actually made a motion to ask staff to bring those options, because as a board, we need to see this sooner than later. But we can discuss all this at the end. All right, thank you. Anything else on SEPA? I would just say, this is on page 70, the page references. It's the proposal 262.009 in the waste and HHW household hazardous waste budget. Just again, a point that we've been discussing this at our RWRC commission meetings, the challenge of rising costs and the diminishing revenue, and the need to figure that out. And I appreciate SEPA staff working really hard on coming up with some resolutions there. Thank you. We'll go now to roads and airports. Harry?
Thank you very much. Harry Freitas, Director of the Department of Roads and Airports. Give me the next slide, Sean. Similar to the previous presentations, well, let me point out to begin with, the department essentially doesn't have any general fund in it, so we didn't have any reduction targets this year. The department is funded solely by local taxes, specifically for roads and gas tax. The department really consists of 3 functional areas. We have 249 positions in the roads department. This is historically called Budget Unit 603. Airports has 12 full-time employees, Budget Unit 608, and then we also manage the County Sanitation Districts 2-3. We have 0 FTEs assigned to that. It's contractual support, although we do charge our time to manage the contract to the district. Within those 3 functional areas, we're broken down by the following divisions: our administration, which also includes our MIS, our Management Information System functions, and our real estate function, which we have a lot of real estate. We have 25 employees. In infrastructure development, that group is responsible for construction, design and construction of roads, bridges, and all public infrastructure. We have 56 FTEs. Road maintenance, which is really road maintenance and operations, including the operations of the expressways. We have 168 employees. At airports, as I mentioned previously, 12 FTEs, and the sanitation district, again, 0. If you go to the next slide, please. So our proposals this year, as in very similar to previous years, we're proposing $28 million towards 32 new or continuing projects. I won't go through those 32 projects. They are in our budget proposal. I will point out 3 significant projects that comprise the larger investments that we're proposing. One is modernization of the intelligent transportation system on the expressways. This is funded by 2016 Measure B through the VTA, and the money is earmarked for ITS. We're continuing our multi-year investment in Capital Expressway, which is an expressway that is definitely in need of pavement restoration, beautification, and improvements to really the pedestrian environment, as well as some safety improvements. So we have a proposal for capital again. And we are continuing our multi-year investments in completing the storm damage repair on multiple sites in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Most of these roads are described as Federal Highway Administration roads, FHWA roads, and they will not be subject to FEMA reimbursements. We're receiving funding through the federal government, but really through a different stream. As I said, very little general fund in the department. And mostly it's just a pass-through for the school crossing guards, and we also had a historic district infrastructure program in the department, and both of those had fund balance, meaning they had unexpended funds in those, and so we're proposing to return all of that funding to the general fund. That is not a proposal to change anything about the school crossing guards program. What we're doing now is we're going to really essentially build the general fund exactly what the costs are for the crossing guard program, instead of making an estimate and then building up a reserve. So it's just a different way of accounting for that service. We're proposing, because our fleet, and particularly our heavy fleet, is really quite aged, and we have done an analysis on the really the costs of maintaining our fleet. We're proposing a $10 million purchase of heavy equipment in our department for all 3 of our maintenance yards. We're proposing to utilize a loan in order to make that purchase. We typically buy about $2 million of equipment a year. Instead, this year we're going to buy $10 million, and we're going to take out a 10-year loan and pay back $1.3 million a year, which is approximate cost. So it results in a $300,000 ongoing cost, but that will only last for 10 years. The age of the vehicles that we're replacing are in the 20-year range, so we're not extending a loan that is greater than the life of the asset, which is kind of a basic fiscal approach. Next slide, please. We are very lucky in that because of our financial situation, we are proposing 3 new positions in the department this year. Our geographic information system, which we feel really needs a significant investment, which will really improve information for our employees and for the public on the county road system. We're proposing a new senior geographic information system analyst. We have 1 position, a lower level position in the department right now. This will allow us to really develop a new program, and that proposal includes some contractual services that we're going to use to supplement the rollout of a new GIS, Geographic Information System for county roads. We have, the next one is the 2 senior construction inspectors. What has been happening in utilities for the past 5 years is PG&E, because of all of the wildfire liability and the gas line liability, has ramped up very large resiliency programs for both their overhead electrical and for their pipelines, resulting in a very large volume of increased service requests for PG&E permits to work in our right-of-way on both of those programs. So that's why these are 0 net ongoing costs. These 2 new positions will be 100% offset by the fees paid by utility companies for those services. We're also looking at some contractual services that we're going to bring into the department, particularly a grant application consultant for some of the more complex grants that we're planning on applying for the next year. And then we are needing new specialized striping services. With the advent of autonomous vehicles, the standards for roadway striping and reflectivity have increased to the point where we're going to need to switch to a thermoplastic pavement stripe, which we don't have the equipment to apply that, and generally no public agencies do. This is done through contractual services, and these stripes and markings will be applied to roads after they're sealed, chip sealed, microsurfaced, or paved. So this is a follow-on contractual service for typical road maintenance. The final proposal we have is for a technology system at the airport. We have a billing system and a property management system that is homegrown, and we've been using it for probably 15 years, and it is really no longer compliant with modern technology. And so we're going to need to really purchase a new replacement system for that, and that's the $100,000 proposal. I think that completes my slides. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, Supervisor Enes? I have one question. If we could go back to the, it's on the slide 13, the road vehicle investment. So I'm not sure if I'm doing my math wrong, but it's a $10 million loan, and we will pay $300,000 ongoing costs for 10 years. So does that translate to $3 million?
Yeah,
That's quite a
I
high
apologize for the
interest rate.
confusion around that. Some of this is the way that our system accounts for ongoing costs. Our fee, so our previous costs were, or proposals that the budget has proposed is always $2 million a year in
Okay.
vehicle purchases. This repayment of the $10 million is $1 million in principal a year and $300,000 in interest. So we're going to make $1.3 million payments for 10 years. I apologize for the way it's written here. It is not a $300,000 payment. It's $1.3 million, which is $13 million over 10 years. So it's a $3 million interest charge and a $10 million investment.
But does the interest add up to the 0.3? So it's a $10 million loan and then 300,000 interest over 10 years adds up to 3 million?
Yeah.
So on a $10 million loan, we're paying 30%?
Well, it's actually an estimate right now. We don't have the loan yet. These are the figures that we unfortunately have been provided by the budget office. I agree that doesn't sound right. In fact,
thinking
I'm
more,
incorrect.
yeah, 5 or 10%.
I said that wrong. Excuse me. The total charge is $300,000 for the $10 million loan. It is not a $1.3 million a year payment.
So,
I apologize, yeah.
so
we're gonna.
okay.
yeah.
So it's more like 30,000 a year if
That's
you
right.
amortize it over 10 years.
Thank you.
Okay,
I'm
great.
sorry,
That
I
makes
just totally
much more reasonable.
locked up on that.
Great.
Apology.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a really terrible investment.
Yeah, I'm thinking 30%
Thank you.
interest. Wow.
Thank you for keeping me on my toes. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
All right.
you so
Sorry
much.
about that.
Appreciate that. Great. With that, if we will move on then to Parks and Rec. Todd, welcome.
Good morning, Todd Lofgren, Santa Clara County Parks Director. I have a brief presentation if you'd like to go to the next slide. Parks Department's pleased to share a summary of its recommended fiscal year 2026-27 operating and capital budget for management, maintenance, operations, and development of the county's parks and recreation system. We're so fortunate to have an amazing park system in this county with over 55,000 acres in the park system, 28 regional parks, over 350 miles of trails, over 3,000 community volunteers volunteer every year with over 40,000 volunteer hours each year. The department's led by 258 full-time employees and about 90 seasonal extra help team members during our peak season. The department has a diverse array of expertise in professions such as park rangers, interpreters, outdoor recreation professionals, our daily park maintenance staff, planning, construction, and natural resource management. The department's committed to providing an inclusive and equitable parks and recreation system that surpasses our customers' expectations, demonstrates fiscal stewardship, and ensures that the county's diverse populations and diverse needs are met for this and future generations. The department continues to advance its Everyone Belongs in Parks initiative to ensure all residents can enjoy our county park system. And we really appreciate the many community leaders and voters who have advocated for county parks over the years. Parks is unique and it has a park charter fund, which has been renewed 7 times by voters since 1972 and continues to provide financial stability with dedicated funding to acquire new parkland, to build new and replace existing park infrastructure, and maintain and operate the county's park and recreation system. The Parks Department does not receive any general fund. If you go to the next slide. So the department's recommended budget for fiscal year 2027 is aligned with our department's strategic plan and approved master plans. Our recommendations include a one-time appropriation for fixed asset replacement. So this is equipment when it is at the end of its life cycle. Things like an excavator, storage sheds, or replacing mowers. Included in our one-time request is a total of $2.7 million. We have some proposals that include an ADA assessment for the park's facilities, also to develop an asset management plan for the department. We have aging assets and over 27,000 different assets in the Parks Department. Also, a one-time investment in developing a strategic plan for our interpretive and outdoor recreation services. And as was mentioned earlier with our planning presentation, an update to the Parks and Recreation chapter for the county's general plan. The department's ongoing operations budget recommendations include strategic investments to augment critical operational services. These include using a science-based approach to implement programs to reduce fuel loads along the wildland-urban interface, promote native habitat restoration, and reduce the risk of catastrophic wildfires. Investments will support partnering with CAL FIRE, Santa Clara County Fire, community partners like Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council. A new investment is also recommended with our community partnership program to introduce underrepresented communities to the regional park system, as well as support community partnership to support ADA accommodations, language access, and other meaningful access support services and activities. In addition, the department recommends an increase in resources for tribal monitoring services, especially during our park construction projects. Due to prudent fiscal management over the years and stability of the Parks Charter Fund, the department recommends an increase investment in the department's capital program. This is Fund 56 on the slide before you. These funds are a one-time investment to repair and replace aging infrastructure, to create safe and welcoming parks, as well as make new park improvements. The Charter Fund requires a minimum allocation of 10% annual tax collections for capital improvements and a 10% annual allocation for land acquisition. And these are estimated each to be about $9 million for the next fiscal year. Finally, the department conducted a review of its staffing levels. We evaluated gaps in our service that could be addressed by the addition of new coded positions. Very importantly, we also reviewed our extra help hours that could be converted to permanent coded positions. Reducing extra help employees to create permanent positions as a strategic reconfiguration, we hope to reduce turnover, lower recruitment costs, and enhance our organization's stability. Extra help positions are for limited duration work, seasonal assignments, and special projects or backlogs. We identified 20,000 extra help hours, or the equivalent of about 10 positions that we recommend be converted to permanent coded positions. We also looked at our contracted services that could be converted to permanent coded positions, and we identified a position in our communications team where we're recommending that. We also analyzed our billing practices to fund positions for capital projects and acquisitions. So staff who work on capital programs will be billing to the projects that they work on. We also looked at alignment of our teams to enhance our organizational effectiveness. We have a specific recommendation to align the department's community relations team, including community partnerships, equity, volunteer services, marketing, communications, and our interpretation and outdoor recreations teams. This recommendation includes a bilingual designated position, a program manager, and a program coordinator. Finally, we evaluated special time-limited projects that would improve organizational effectiveness through temporary unclassified codes, and we can discuss more of those, or they're in your packet. And as a final note, the Parks Department is dedicated to seeking grant opportunities. That's something we do on an annual basis to enhance all facets of the department's activities. And that's the conclusion of my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any questions, Supervisor Adenos?
Yes, if you can start by sharing what was the, do you have a comparison of the cost that was being expended on extra help versus the, I think you said 10, you converted 10, but there's a total of 19 permanent positions that are being added. And then if you could tell me the difference between where you found the 9 additional, the funding for the 9 additional.
Sure. There's about 2,080 hours for a full-time FTE, and so we identified 20,000 extra help hours that we thought could be converted to the full-time permanent work, and so that's how we get to the 10 FTE positions.
Right, but can you tell me what that dollar amount is? I heard you, it was 20,000
Yeah.
hours for the
I don't
extra
have
help.
the net position, but I can get that for you. In the proposal, we show the total cost for the new permanent positions, but I could get you the net position of what we've historically paid for a extra help hour on average versus the average full-time permanent code. But for sure, it's costs more to have a full-time permanent benefited position. And how we're able to pay for that is really through, we have different sources of funding. So we have our taxes that are collected through the Park Charter Fund. We have the fees that are assessed through things like campground fees and other fees. We also have some lease agreements that generates revenue also for the department. And so when we looked at our available funds and ran a 5-year forecast, we were able to afford kind of this level of growth within the organization. And just to add one more thing for everyone, so they know, as I mentioned, we have an acquisition program. So we have a Parks Department that actually is continuing to grow year by year. And so there's more and more responsibilities for all the services that we provide. And then really that's our long-term challenge, is find the right balance of direct service through our employees, and then how do we partner with the community to make sure we steward the properties properly.
I'm going to guess that you made a comment about the turnovers, and I know that there's cost to training folks. Every time there's a turnover, every time there's new folks coming in, there's a cost to it, right? That we don't really account for, but there is one. And so I'm happy to see that you're thinking about how you are permanently creating these positions to create fixtures, right, within our system and create more stability. And definitely, I know the trail system is expanding. I mean, I love it. A lot of it is in my district.
Right.
I mean, the majority of those county parks are throughout all of our districts, but I certainly have a good number of them, which will lead me to my next question. I know that there's, I think, a $250,000 ongoing fund for programs and services for park users, and you don't have to give this to me right now, but offline, if you could just share with me how many of South County residents are utilizing some of those benefits to enter into the park system. I want to make sure that we're taking care of those folks, they're in our backyards, that they know that they have access to those folks. I'm sure that it already exists. I just want that level of assurance, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
And then the other question is, and of course I can't find it, But this is the grazing, oh gosh, where is it? It's not the goats. But
Cattle grazing?
it doesn't say cattle specifically, but it does. Oh, what page?
We have a few different proposals related to cattle grazing. And I can just maybe give an overview of those.
That would be wonderful,
Sure.
thank you.
So Santa Clara County, one of our important things of our land stewardship is reducing the fuel load on the properties for wildfire prevention. And so we have about 19,000 acres, actually, of our 55,000 acres that are under partnership agreements with the cattle grazers. And those, on an operating basis, actually are net positive in revenue back to the department. However, there's certain infrastructure that needs to be put in place, like safe cattle gates, so cattle don't get out, or trail users can easily open the gate and go through, fencing, maybe a water access point. And so you'll see, and there's a few different proposals that are recommended to make sure that we're supporting that. The grazing partners are really important in a efficient way for us to manage the land. The other proposal you'll see is about using the goats. That actually is a fee-for-service payment that we're making to have someone come, and it's normally for smaller areas where cattle grazing wouldn't be appropriate, so it's still a great service, but it actually is costing us money versus the cattle grazers where we have an ongoing partnership. So.
Yeah, I'd love to talk with you offline. I did recently visit the Cattlemen's Association that's connected to, oh my gosh, I know this park. Harvey Bear, thank you. I knew the audience was going to help me too. And so I know there's a cost to, they actually pay us to have their cattle graze
That's right.
on our land, but there's also a benefit to us and
That's
park
right.
users and residents in general for fire protection. I mean, for so many different reasons, right? And so, anyways, I'd like to see what that what maybe just a breakdown of that, because I think there's folks like the Cattlemen's Association that is very local, it's very small, it's not a
Right.
huge, cattle grazing organization, and the impacts that are that are inadvertently had by them to create this service for us. I wanted there to be some reciprocity in this. So anyways, I'd like to just talk with you offline about that. There's a concern there for me about that, because I want to make sure that the folks who are taking our contracts are folks that are also, one, local, two, that that have a different kind of a framework for their business. And I really love this idea of folks who have been in our South County, who've raised themselves and cattle in our South County, and the impacts that they are having, of course, with this cost of living, and of course this inflation that only seems to be getting worse as every day that passes. So just if we could do that offline. Sure. Those are basically my questions. And listen, I applaud you for making that step into permanent positions. I know that's difficult to ask. And we're actually going in the reverse in terms of making reductions, taking those offline. But I think in this particular case, it makes sense because you're probably bleeding out a lot of money in training and time, and then not moving our priorities forward, and not allowing our parkland to be open to the public or utilized in the way that we want it to be, since we've already made some investments, right? So anyways, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, I also agree. I think that I appreciate the creativity, and oftentimes it's the other way around, but there are moments when it makes sense to bring folks in-house, so thank you for doing that. I also just want to say how excited I am that the N5 sensor maintenance proposal is in the budget, and I believe we're going to see them come online next month, so I look forward to that and the continued partnerships to maintain this project. So with that, that actually completes all of our departments. I'll open this up for public comment. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak on this item?
I do have 2 in chambers and 3 on Zoom.
So
5 total.
5, I'm trying to, is it 5, is it 2 minutes up to 5 people? Sorry. I know we have some.
Excuse me, it's at your discretion, so however long you would like to set public comment for these items.
Let's go 1 minute, 1 minute.
Okay, and we did get 3 additional Zoom speakers. Would you like to accept that before closing the queue?
For 1 minute, yes.
Alrighty. At 1 minute, we will close the queue with 6 online and 2 in chambers. I'll invite Paul Kermoya and Vicky Kermoyan to speak.
Thank you. The 2018 Santa Clara Valley Ag Plan serves as a policy document for county decisions relative to its ag resources. The plan consists of objectives, strategies, and actions. All have specific implementation time periods. Objective 8, support the viability of ag economy, requires the creation of a farm budsman. This was a priority 1 item. This position was then renamed Ag Liaison. The Ag Plan was found to be consistent with the General Plan and is now a legal set of policy directives that were approved through a democratic process. How then can staff unilaterally remove a position that was created as part of an approved policy document? How can the Board of Supervisors approve this request when your decisions need to be found consistent with county policies? Wouldn't the Ag Plan need to first be amended to remove this policy direction? Or is this just another example of not following county policies? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vicki Kermoyan, and I'm the other half of B&V Winery. I would like to say that I'm very proud of my supervisor, Aranis, and I very much agree with her opinion about this position. I think it's a very invaluable position right now in that we are going to be facing some things that are going to be coming up in our county, and we need to have someone that can be the go-between. And I think someone that has Julie's expertise about the process, but also understanding uniquely what it is to be someone in our industry of an ag property. So I fully support Ms. Supervisor Aranis' opinion. Thank you.
Continuing with online. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Stephanie Rocha. We've asked you to unmute. The timer will begin when you start speaking. One second, member. For Stephanie Rocha, we're having a technical issue. We can't hear you at the moment. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, committee members. I want to echo the comments made by Supervisor Arenas. My name is Stephanie Rocha. I own and operate a small farm in South County called the Nest Box. I also am a member of the South County Farms Association, and I am a commissioner on the San Martin Planning Advisory Committee. The position, the Ag Liaison position, has actually been a very critical and instrumental position in bridging the gap between the ag community in South County and our planning department. We need that resource. She's helped to build relationships, and she's helping to actually build choosing Julie Morris in this position to build a vibrant ag economy here in South County, which will benefit everyone who lives in South County, who lives in all of Santa Clara County, and the Santa Clara County budget.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Allie. Your mic has been unmuted.
Hi, my name is Allie, and I'm a small farmer in South Santa Clara County. I reviewed the SEPA budget equity statement, and I really appreciate the emphasis on accessibility, community-based approaches, and ensuring all voices are included. But I'm struggling to understand how removing an agricultural liaison aligns with those goals. For farmers, especially small operations like mine, that role is often the only clear point of contact within the county. It helps us navigate complex systems, access information, and actually participate in the processes that affect our land and our livelihoods. Removing that position doesn't increase accessibility, it creates another barrier. I respectfully ask that you keep the agricultural liaison position and continue supporting small farms in a real, tangible way. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kim E. Wineries of Santa Clara. Your mic has been unmuted.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Kim Engelhardt. I'm a grape farmer and winery owner here in Santa Clara County, as well as the president of the Wineries of Santa Clara Valley. I'm here to ask you to keep Julie Morris's agricultural liaison position. Julie is the person farmers and winery owners call when they don't know where to turn. She's a trusted, accessible point of contact in a system that otherwise feels distant and bureaucratic. She's who we call when we need help navigating permits, grant applications, regulations. Eliminating her position doesn't just cut a line item, it severs a relationship to the county that is already quite precarious. We urge the committee to retain this position. The cost of keeping it is modest. The cost of losing it in farmer trust, coordination failures, and missed opportunities is not. Please retain her position. The cost of losing her is far greater than the cost of keeping her. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Zoe Davis. Zoe, your mic has been unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I would like to speak in support of keeping the agricultural liaison position currently held by Julie Morris. As an owner and operator of a small farm in unincorporated Santa Clara County, I've personally benefited from the experience, advice, and the connections brought from this role. Farming in our county can be extremely challenging. There aren't a ton of resources, and land is obviously very expensive. And the ag liaison is a critical role for connecting the community with each other and with resources. In this role, Julie's been an indefatigable supporter of local farms, and I'm personally aware of her work connecting farmers to available grants, helping to facilitate communication between county agencies and the farming community, and running an awesome marketing program to bring awareness and visitors to come experience the agricultural activity happening here. Cutting this position might be a short-term cost savings, but long-term will erode the relationship between small farmers and the county and our efforts to try and keep agriculture.
Our next speaker is Mark Devon. Your mic has been unmuted.
I'd like to speak out. Hello, everybody. I'd like to speak out on behalf of the Nest Box and all other small farmers within Santa Clara Valley who are currently finding it difficult with the regulations the way that they are set up now. And the Nest Box, it provides, in addition to healthy choices for people shopping for things like fresh eggs, employment for people like my son, who is autistic and was employed through Abilify Santa Clara Employment Services, who are finding jobs. This is his dream job. I'd like him to keep it. It has had a tremendous impact on how he approaches life now. It's given him confidence, And I think there are other people, other employees of the NESBOX who feel
Our next speaker is Gilroy Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, I'm Christina Cortez, the Executive Director of the Gilroy Chamber of Commerce, and we are strategic partners of the wineries of Santa Clara Valley, and we support the wineries of Santa Clara Valley's position in keeping the agricultural liaison position and helping the ag community here grow and thrive. Thank you.
And our final speaker is Gilroy Mayor Greg Bozzo.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'd also like to advocate, as all the others have before me and Supervisor Arenas, to reconsider the ag liaison. Julie Morris not only brings the experience to handle this type of cooperation that's needed between the county and the farmers. Down here in South County, you know, we're talking about wineries a lot today, but there are also farmers down here that are farming 1,000 to 3,000 acres, all the way down to some of the wineries, whether it's 5 or 10 or even 2 acres. And Julie Morris is the one person that is able to have a conversation with every single one of those entities. So it's very important down here in South County that somebody like her in this position remains. Thank you very much.
And those are all our requests to speak before closing the queue.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you for all of the public comments. I will bring it back to the committee. Supervisor Arenas, do you have comments? Oh, well, thank you. Our office provided we prepared a memo in anticipation for this discussion today, and I understand that, again, this is the raw data that's being sent to the county executive's office, and there will be further iterations of the final until we get to the final budget proposal. But I did want to offer some I guess, a motion with a few items. Number one was to recommend the Hewlett-related budget proposals to forward that. But having heard the public comment, and I would like to defer to you, Supervisor Arenas, but I would like to add to this, and it could that we ask administration to look at alternatives or to I guess I'll say maintaining the agricultural liaison position, if that's, and then looking at alternatives, understanding that we have to look at trade-offs. So if we were to keep this position, what are other options for us to look at, areas to reduce from? And then two, this is regarding just, I believe very strongly that we should have indicators or measures of success or metrics that we can look to in a year's time as we look at, frankly, mostly reductions, and we need to monitor how this is affecting service levels and service provision. So I would like to request that we incorporate measures, those types of measures. And then the third had the specific issues of the hazardous waste budget challenges and coming up with a long-term strategy there. And then regarding Office of Supportive Housing, as we discussed the ongoing need for wraparound services as we add units, looking at Measure A 2025 funds if needed to support those ongoing costs. So I'll just start with that. Supervisor Arenas, if you have any suggestions or changes or something else, I'm happy to entertain.
Sure. First of all, I wasn't going to be supportive of the original memo, so I'm glad there are some edits to the recommended actions so that we can have a full board conversation on some of these items, including, well, I agree with you that there needs to be measures of success, not only for these departments that are under our committee, but for all of the departments. And that is a larger conversation that we have been trying to have at the board. It is a difficult conversation to have at the board because our budgets are so complex and so large. And so every committee begins to have these conversations at the committee level and forwards on recommendations. I think the recommendation is very broad in terms of measures of success. And what we actually mean with when we say a measure of success is very different, maybe coming from committee members or each board member than it is with administration. And so I think there needs to be further precision about what we are looking for in terms of measures of success, and they need to be tied into the priorities of the board in a way that that we can actually evaluate them. Otherwise, I think we can say, well, I'm going to hit that target by the end of the year, and each budget, each department will say that they could have done that, but the outcomes were what? So we completed, 100 units of this or 100 activities of that, but what was the outcome that we were hoping to achieve? And I think for me, it has to be measured in outcomes so that we can feel that whatever investments that we're making in our budget align, and that there's one, enough resources, two, that we're going in the right direction, and three, that will produce the kind of outcomes that we're looking for. And I think that level of discussion is one that is really in depth. I'll ask to, are you making a motion? Did you make a motion?
I was, yes, I would put this in a motion.
So I will, for that first item, this is just to forward the recommendations. This is for the public. The first item on the chair's recommended action is to forward recommendations to the full Board of Supervisors to support the Housing, Land Use, Environment, and Transportation Committee related budget proposals. So all of the proposals that have been heard so far are just being forwarded to the full board. The second is forward recommendation to the Board of Supervisors requesting administration to incorporate measures of success for each department into the fiscal year 2026-2027 recommended budget. I would say that for that, you would have to incorporate measures of success, including outcomes, based on board priorities for each department into the fiscal year 2026-2027, although we are in the middle of the budget process, and I don't know if that can actually happen for this upcoming fiscal year, but I'm willing to try to see if we can get that done, or at least have that conversation for that to be initiated. The third item is forward recommendation to the Board of Supervisors requesting to incorporate the following actions into the fiscal year 2027-2028 recommended budget. So this is not for this upcoming fiscal year, but for the following fiscal year. And so I have some thoughts about the recommendation, but just right off the cuff here, I'm not sure that we should be making recommendations for 2027, 2028 at this point in time, since we are, as your previous recommendation, you've just asked for measures of success from each of the departments. And so I think until you figure out what the measures of success and the outcomes are, it's hard for me to figure out how these other recommendations fall in place or align with that objective. There's 3A, which is create a long-term strategy to address the financial instability of the county's waste services. I think first we need to have a discussion here at the committee to figure out what that actual instability is. We just finished a contract, and let me look at Sylvia to ask, we just finished having a contract established for the waste services, correct?
For the integrated waste services for the unincorporated county, yes, we did.
Right. And so, to me, that was like a year, almost 2-year-long process to lead to that contract, correct?
Yes.
And during that process, there was an opportunity for us to take a look at whatever instability. I didn't realize we had voted on a contract that created instability for the county's waste services.
I'm going to turn to Mr. Nolasco, who will help expand upon and clarify the respective relationships between these set of services.
Hello, Supervisor. Can you please repeat your question? I was taking notes on something else and I wasn't quite.
Sure. My question is, we just finished a contract. It was a long process. You were all very diligent about involving folks, the community, the folks who actually were given the contracts through the RFP process. And so we have a recommendation here to create a long-term strategy to address the financial instability of the county's waste services. I didn't realize that we, right from the beginning, already have waste services instability. And I'm wondering, why wasn't that addressed? If, one, is that true? Two, how did we address it, or did we not address it through the contracts that we just approved?
The distinction that I would draw is that I believe the chair is referring to household hazardous waste.
Yes, I'm sorry, we didn't.
And I don't know.
That is correct. I was trying to make the connection. So
Okay.
There's not the house.
Supervisor Abico is
All
referring to HHW. Unfortunately, some of the fees are locked in pre-Prop 26. In terms of integrated waste, that appreciate the board's leadership and leadership of our Ms. Gallegos, we are locked in on a 10-year contract, never done before, that really increased services for all the unincorporated areas. There is no inequity in services or funds within those integrated waste and garbage services. What Supervisor Abicoba was relating to is ongoing sort of issues we're getting with HHW as funding goes down and there's an increase of need for HHW, as you may see now in consumer goods, everything has lithium batteries. So there becomes a more need for HHW services, and we're looking at proactively how can we increase revenues to offset the cost of disposing those HHW items. That is an ongoing discussion that we're having internally with the team and at greater with the commission.
I guess at this point, I feel uncomfortable. One, this is the first time I've heard of this. For the household waste services. Second, this was not indicated on the memo. And two, I don't know that the board as a whole understands. And so I would first recommend that we bring, by the way, this is for 2027, 2028. This is not in this impending fiscal year. And so my recommendation, Chair, is that we discuss it first at committee level so that we can understand in depth what the issue is. Then forward a recommendation to the board so that we can have a full discussion with the board included. Before we create a long-term strategy, I think we need to figure out what we're hoping, what is the problem that we are hoping to address. And so that at the core center of any policy, I always ask, what's the problem that we're trying to address? And so if you could make a change in your motion, I would be able to support 3A.
Yes, that sounds perfectly reasonable. So why don't I just remove item 3? I think with B2, it's something that maybe we should discuss in committee since it is for longer term. And then going back to the agricultural liaison.
I'm sorry, but I haven't finished with 3B.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so with item 3B, a plan to draw from Measure A funds to support the ongoing costs of supportive housing. I wasn't able to, from your memo, figure out whether you were referring to Measure A, the one that we just approved in 2025, or Measure A, the one that was approved in 2016.
Yes, it's 2025. 2016 actually does not allow us to use those funds for services. It's for capital, so it would have to be 2025.
That one, I'm also uncomfortable having that recommendation coming from the committee, since we haven't talked about what the issues are for the the ongoing costs of supportive housing. So I would make the same recommendation for us to first have the discussion at the committee level, have administration or staff make recommendations about what those what could be the solutions to some of the ongoing costs of supportive housing. And then if you saw fit and if the committee approved, we could move forward with a plan to actually draw from Measure A. But at this point, I don't know whether that's the best. I don't know what all the funding sources are at this point. I can't on the fly right now in good conscience decide something that is of this magnitude and this type of policy, decide on the dais. I would like to see more analysis, and so I would like to have that also removed and make the recommendation to you to have a more thorough conversation, put this on our work plans for discussion.
Yes, I think that makes a lot of sense. So if I can, I'll amend my motion and just amend it to item 1 and 2, remove 3, keep that on our Hewlett Committee work plan as items for discussion in the future. And then I would ask you, Supervisor, if you'd like to include something about the agricultural.
Sure. Listen, I think that our agricultural community and our electeds and advocates have recognized the need for us to have more support for this industry, for South County. And I think I heard from you, Sylvia, that this is not the recommended action. This just moves forward. The recommended action based on our feedback might look differently. And so what I am going to ask is for that recommendation. I don't need to have it on the motion because I think you heard what the direction is. And I think that is enough for me to be able to feel confident about what I'm going to find in the recommended action as a part of the next step. So I don't feel that we need it in as part of the motion. I think the staff has heard from our community, understands it, and hopefully what we see as part of the next steps, and this is just a recommendation for me as part of the representative for South County, is that you really listen to our community and understand that they need to be part of some of these decisions. And I'll look forward to having them come in our advisory level, and so that some of these conversations can be had before we get to the dais, right? Before they're actually formulated and made more concrete. And that way we really honor what we are hearing and reflect that in our recommendations. And so I appreciate that you're doing that now, and I look forward to continuing to have these conversations with everyone. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. So if with the amended motion,
I will second as the yes for your motion that's on the floor.
thank you. Great. Can we take a roll call vote, please?
Vice Chairperson Arenas
Yes.
and Chairperson Abekoga?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We'll go on to item 5.
Thank you. Jacqueline Anciano, Director of
Thank
Planning
you.
and Development. Item number 5 is we'd like to make a presentation on our building fee study and the recommendations that we have that are contained in your staff report. Again, I have with us today is Deputy Director Stuart Petrie and Courtney Ramos from Matrix, who's been working with us on our extensive fee studies. I'll turn the presentation over. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Anciano, and thank you, Chair Abe-Koga and Vice Chair Ennis, for this opportunity to present today the department's fee study for the building section and the subsequent fee recommendations for fiscal year 26-27. Just a little background. This has been a multi-year effort from the department to realign our fees with services across the department. And this specific fee study was for building, plan check, and inspection services. As you may remember, we were here last year with all other sections of the department with a comprehensive cost of service study. The purpose is to recover costs for services and align our fees with the department's service offerings. And just to highlight the more recent history of the fees at the department, in fiscal year 23-24, that's when the department started efforts to address the fees in the department that hadn't been looked at in about 10 years. At that time, the department brought forward recommendations for the building section based on a simple cost analysis of where the department's cost had gone over a handful of years. Then in fiscal year 24-25, the department engaged with a fee consultant to do a full cost of service study for planning, land development, engineering, fire marshal, surveyor, and code enforcement. And then here today is the continuation of that effort with our fee study consultant for the building section, where we also did a comprehensive cost of service study this last fiscal year, and we have recommendations before you for consideration to go into effect in fiscal year 26-27. So just to highlight some of the analysis that was found from the fee study, this table outlines the different major service categories that the building section provides, both for inspection and plan check. As you can see, the findings showed that if current fee levels were maintained, next fiscal year we would be targeting a 64% cost recovery, significantly below the board's policy of aiming for 100% cost recovery for services where applicable. Some of the, so generally the findings from the fee study shows that most fees will require an increase to maintain 100% cost recovery due to continued rising direct and indirect costs at the department. And there are recommendations in the report for the board's consideration and in the Hewlett Committee's consideration for some service alignment and structural modifications. And I would like to highlight, we were here a month ago with the Hewlett Committee talking about the permit process improvement project that the department is undertaking with our other partners, as well as the CEO's office. And some of these structural changes are supportive of the efforts that we are doing as part of that permit process improvement project. One of the examples is just improving transparency and clarity, so it's more easy for applicants to understand what their fees will be just from reviewing our fee schedule, as well as setting us up for additional business process improvements. And a major example of that is our minor permit program. We have some structural modifications on the fee schedule specifically for that program that is going to set us up as a building block for us to make those business improvements as we move on. Now, there are over 60 unique fees in the building section fee schedule, so we just wanted to highlight an example project that an applicant may see and what that impact will be from a fee change. So this example is a new construction ADU on a residential property. And you can see the table outlines some of the cost changes that we would see on the major fee categories that are typically charged when a project like this comes to our office. These are not flat fees. These are based on valuation of a project. So these can change. This example is specifically at a $400,000 valuation for an ADU project. And you can see the change from building plan check would be about a $270 increase. Building inspection fees would be upwards of $830 to maintain cost recovery for all the services and hours that it requires our department to go out and complete inspections and finalize a project like this. So recommendation and next steps before the HELIC committee here today, we have fee adjustments that are recommended to continue to maintain full cost recovery where applicable. Again, there are also modifications to the existing fee schedule structure that are recommended to improve clarity and cost predictability for our applicants. Next steps from here, if there are any changes or recommendations from the HELIC committee, the department will go back and incorporate those changes into the proposed fee schedules and resolution. Then we will post and notice those proposed fee schedules, and the department is prepared to take these new fee schedules to your Board of Supervisors at the May 26th meeting, which would then effectively place the new fee changes for the building section towards the end of July 2026. And that concludes the presentation, and we're available for any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item?
I do not. Oh, I just got one on Zoom, and I don't have any in chambers.
Okay, we'll do 2 minutes.
Our speaker is Jeff. Your mic will be unmuted, and the timer will begin when you start speaking.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Great, thanks. This is Jeff Queiser. Thanks very much for presenting this fee study. Certainly makes sense that some of the baseline costs have to go up to keep up. But I also wanted to ask about the other dimension of this, which is increasing the overall efficiency of the permitting process. I recently pulled a permit, and just as one small example, there were several items that were not listed anywhere on any of the public materials, but were required to be included in the plan set, and that took an extra turn time. So we burned a bunch of county hours on that and my hours to deal with something that should have just been publicly published. Small example, but the question is, from that perspective, what did you guys look at as far as internal efficiency in addition to also raising costs?
That closes public comment. Great, thank you. We'll bring it back to the committee. Supervisor Arenas, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, thank you so much, Chair. I was wondering if maybe the team would give us any thoughts about the last commenter comments.
Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning. We are making improvements and efficiencies in our processes and our application materials. This is ongoing. So we will look at his comments and incorporate them, but we are making improvements consistently with our systems.
Say that into the mic so people hear.
To expand on the director's comment, as the committee is aware, the department has been going through the last 2 years through a permit transformation process. And so these weren't idle comments by the director. We are expending considerable effort and with consultant support. And we want to reassure the speaker that, in fact, we are looking at all aspects, and the comment that the speaker made is certainly an example where we want to improve on the efficiency of the delivery of the service.
And I'll say that at this point, you are at 66% of recovery for your cost. And so that means that the general fund or the rest of the system is subsidizing, really, the building permits at this point. And I know it was a lower percentage before, or higher, lower percentage, yeah, of cost recovery. So increasing it is a good thing, as it doesn't come from our general plan. We can take that money and move it over to our children and families. Well, at least I would. We'll see what the board does. Okay, so I think, for me, it's just really important to highlight that when we make these kinds of adjustments, that we continue to reiterate. And I know we may sound like a broken record, but we hadn't made any changes to our fees for a really long time. And Sylvia, tell me how long, or Jack, if you could tell me how long.
Since 2015.
2015, yeah. Can you imagine that? Heck, we've made more adjustments to our haircuts, right, than that. So it just means that our systems have been subsidizing, and we're not meant to subsidize, especially not development, but because folks are making quite a bit of money from that. Hopefully so that they can continue to build, and we knock on wood, because we need more housing to be built, or whatever it is, the type of building that they do. But the one I'm knocking on wood for is housing. So this is for me reasonable. I think I'd also like to just ask, when we continue to talk about these fees, when we say the rate increase, I think we also need to translate what that means. It means a 12% increase. It means that instead of paying 150, you'll be paying 157. I think if we continue to make those kinds of translation rate for us, for me, for the board, and for our public, I think they will understand that. And to your point, Sylvia, I think that the other, and to the last speaker, is that we are intending to create long-term efficiency, effectiveness, and responsiveness, and not to reduce any services. And so that is, in the end, what we're hoping for, and we will be evaluated on that, I'm sure. That is part of the process as we are improving the whole system, correct?
You've requested quarterly updates, and we appreciate it because it holds us accountable. And we look forward to presenting the improvements.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to seeing them. And this is just I think I know the answer to this question. This will, so the projects that have been in the pipeline, so say we'll talk about builder's remedy. They've been in the pipeline. Will they, even though they've been in the pipeline, will they, these increases will apply to those folks? Or who is grandfathered and who is not?
Yeah, I'm going to yield to County Counsel.
Elizabeth Pianca, Assistant County Counsel. Not all of these fees will apply to those builder remedy projects or SB 330 projects that have been submitted and applied to the county. There are provisions in state law that effectively freeze our ability to impose new fees after the application has been submitted. And we'd be happy to provide more detail on the mechanics and specifics if requested in an off-agenda memo to the committee.
Well, what I would like to know, maybe in the off-agenda, and I don't know, this is also if the chair agrees, that we have quite a number of builders remedy projects, and especially in my district. And that means that we are potentially subsidizing some of those developments with 2015 fees, right? And so it is a concern for me, not a concern that there's development. You know, we must grow and we must have additional housing to address the housing crisis, especially affordable housing options integrated into market rate. But I understand that the state laws freeze our fees, but I guess it would be interesting to find which of those is if there is any allowance for those fees at all to reflect the kind of workload that is going to take from our departments.
Yes, I mean, we would be happy to explain in more detail, like what the parameters are under state law that we have to follow for permit fees applicable to the builder remedy projects.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Ms. Bianca. It concerns me because I know that there's quite a bit in the pipeline. I know that it's going to have a workload issue for folks. You know, for me, I think that I see the increases in the number of different departments. Nobody likes fee increases. Heck, we're all getting water rate increases. We're all getting increases everywhere, which makes it really impossible to live in this valley. But these kinds of increases are for development, and they really are reflected to allow us to continue to serve our public with the same quality of care. And so hopefully, you know, we will continue to do this on an ongoing basis and not wait so long, so that we are making sure that our general fund is being spent on safety net services rather than on development services this way. But for now, this is where we are, and I'm happy to make a motion to approve the report and receive the report.
Great, thank you. I'll second the motion, and just a few comments. I do appreciate that we are moving forward with cost recovery. I was surprised and alarmed to hear that it's been over 10 years since the fees have been looked at. I hope that we are implementing a more regular schedule, whether it's annually or by twice every 2 years. I think we just need to do this consistently. I also appreciate the move to streamline the building permitting process. That is my, definitely, I know we are doing the review and coming up with recommendations and moving towards implementation. And I would say that as much as I do support 100% cost recovery, you know, I have to say, looking at the fees, they're pretty high. And there's always the question of, well, does this make the production of housing higher? There's other areas of interest for me, and from a sustainability perspective, such as the solar electrification, and just making sure that our fees are not onerous and getting folks to make the transition. I appreciate the solar app plus submittal process. I think whatever we can do to streamline and just make it more efficient, even with ADUs. I don't know if we're doing this, but I know that there's been an effort to come up with like certain plans that are already pre-approved. So hopefully that makes it easier, faster, and cheaper for folks to build ADUs. So I would trust that we're incorporating as many measures as we can to, again, streamline and make the whole process efficient, so less costly at the end of the day.
If I may, we do have pre-approved ADU plans on our website that the public can access.
Okay, perfect. And then in regards to plumbing and electrical that are at 3 to 40%, to get to 100, we have a long ways to go. So are we looking at the cumulative impact of these specific increases, especially, my question is regarding affordable housing projects, are they required to pay the same fees, or is there a different fee schedule?
There, Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning. My understanding is the same fees apply, but I'll turn to maybe KJ and speak. Do you know if there's separate fees for inclusionary or affordable? I'm not aware that there are. I believe they're the same fees.
I don't know for Worcester, just for
For inclusionary housing, development of inclusionary housing, my understanding is that they're required to pay the same fees. They just have different funding sources.
yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but we'd be happy to.
If you could get
help
back
find
to offline, that'd be great.
Let's invite the deputy director to respond to the question.
Yeah, we don't have a separate fee schedule at the Department of Planning and Development specifically for an inclusionary housing program or a below-market program. Definitely, we can look into that if we're directed to. I think, though, that the county has an inclusionary housing fee, which can be leveraged, and there's other types of funding out there that can be leveraged to reduce the overall cost of that building.
And then I would also 100% affordable projects, are they also required to pay the same fees? They are. Oh, interesting.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Yeah, well, let me think of it. I'm going to do a little more research myself, and I might bring this back later at a later time. But so that's all I had, and we took a motion in a second. So can we get roll call vote, please?
Vice Chairperson Arenas?
Yes.
Chairperson Abikoga?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to item 6. This is to receive a report on the rural zoning amendments and agricultural impact threshold. Jackie.
Jacqueline Anciano, Director of Planning and Development. We are before you today reporting back from the November board referral that we received regarding the rural zoning amendments. I'd like to introduce the staff that will be presenting today. We have principal, but yeah, they're going to sit down. We have our principal, Joanna Wilk. We have our planning liaison and senior planner, Aaron Yatao, and we have Reva Kakaria, who is one of our associate planners. From County Council, we have Mary Hannah Ware and Tamra Zikem. We're before you today to address the referral items. In the staff report, you will find that we address the items line by line. But first, I would like to just set the stage as to why the rural zoning amendments are important and what staff hopes to achieve in working with the community. As outlined in the Santa Clara Valley Agricultural Plan, over the past 30 years, Santa Clara County has lost a significant number of farm land and ranch land to the pressures of development. Just looking at our 2024 crop report, our cultivation of vegetables has yielded $389 million of crop. And so when we think about the importance and the significance of our soils, our strong water source, it is very important for us to preserve the ag land that's remaining in this. Ag land that's remaining in the unincorporated areas is about 6% of our overall agricultural lands. So what we're looking at in the rural zoning amendments is addressing the local serving. We have a definition of local serving in our ordinance that is not clear in how it's applied. It's very important for us to be transparent and to allow developers to have some predictability of how their development would be analyzed. And then in our Santa Clara Valley Ag Plan, one of the policy objectives, objective 4, is that we would address incompatible uses for agricultural areas. And that's one of our goals, is to clearly outline objective standards in our amendments in addressing non-compatible agricultural uses in our ag lands. And then the other item is that we want to really streamline this process. The process hasn't been really looked at. We've been paying attention. We've been working with our agricultural communities, the equine community. Back in 2018, many of our stables were closing. We reached out to the equine community because it's very, very important that horses have places, that people have places to house their horses, where they can access them. And so we had worked with the equine community, and we're still embarking on that work. And so these are the three main areas that we're working towards in working with the community. I do want to emphasize one thing in the staff report. There's a note in the staff report that the director will appoint. The director is not appointing the Ag Advisory Committee members. We are developing an application of interest. We will work with the prospective board offices because we know that some of the community members have reached out to board offices and would like to participate in this process. And it is our intent to include the community in this process. We are securing a consultant, a neutral party to work with us in the workshops and in the outreach meetings. And at this point, I will turn the presentation over to Senior Planner Erin Yatao. She will go into a little more detail on a high level of some of the items that we're going to highlight today that we heard from the community when we were conducting the outreach, and that were part of the referral that we received in November. Erin, I'll turn the presentation to you.
Thank you. Senior Planner and Agricultural Permitting Ally Erin Yata here. Today's presentation will consist of background on the Rural Zoning Amendments project. The Department of Planning and Development will also respond to the most significant procedure and policy items brought forward in this referral, and they were also brought forward during public outreach in 2025. And it will conclude with next steps in the development of the revisions of the amendments. Next slide, please. The Santa Clara County General Plan contains policies to manage growth and development in the unincorporated areas of the county. General Plan Policy RLU 11 states that the lands designated as agriculture, all uses shall be agricultural or ag-supportive in nature. The Santa Clara Valley Agricultural Plan, or the Ag Plan, was adopted in January of 2018. It was developed in response to the need for increased preservation of agricultural lands and support for economic development of agricultural businesses in the county. From 1987 to 2017, the county lost 21,171 acres of its agricultural lands to development. 28,391 acres of farmland and rangeland are at risk of future conversion to non-agricultural uses. Remaining Santa Clara County farmlands contain valuable soils that are ideal for cultivation. Some types of valuable soils, such as prime soil, need to be irrigated and cultivated on a regular basis to maintain the integrity of the soil. An example of conversion is a parcel is being actively cultivated by an agricultural operation, but the land is sold, the new owner ceases to irrigate the land or cultivate it, and develops a residence and several accessory structures on the parcel. That land is taken out of agricultural production, and the valuable soil on that land degrades over time. That's an example of land being converted from agricultural use to a residential use, a non-agricultural use. Next slide, please. The purpose of the Rural Zoning Amendments project is to amend the ordinance to implement the Ag Plan and to better align with the general plan policies in the A, AR, HS, and RR zones, to establish a threshold of significance under CEQA to evaluate impacts to agricultural resources from proposed development, namely those valuable soils. The amendments specifically would achieve 3 primary goals: align future development and uses in the rural zoning districts with existing general plan policies to protect and enhance the viability of agriculture in rural districts. It would, 2, create objective development standards to address non-agricultural and ag-supportive uses. And 3, clarify and standardize the permit processes for agricultural and ag-supportive uses. Next slide, please. So a draft of the rural zoning amendments was provided to the public in September of 2025. Public outreach commenced in October of 2025 and concluded in early November 2025. A significant amount of feedback was received from the public during outreach, and the department concluded that we needed to pause and make further revisions to the amendments before moving forward to any hearing bodies. At the November 18th, 2025 board meeting, item number 9, the board approved Supervisor Arenas' item, or rather referral, relating to DPD's proposal for the rural zoning amendments. Next slide, please. So the referral broke the items into 2 categories: process items and policy items. For the sake of this presentation, some of the referral language has been condensed. The first item we will address today is process item number 1. Consider the creation of an agricultural task force or agricultural advisory committee to support DPD in the modification of future drafts. DPD recommends that the department establish an agricultural advisory committee to be consulted regarding future revisions to the amendments. The members would be appointed by the director of DPD through an application of interest, as the director described earlier, and in consultation with board offices. The committee would consist of stakeholders such as agricultural businesses, including small farmers, ranchers, the equine community, the vintners, and environmental representatives. The purpose of the Ag Committee would be to bring together a variety of voices from the agricultural community as a focused group that DPD could consult with throughout the revision process. The Ag Advisory Committee will help supplement the larger outreach efforts that will be conducted with all stakeholder groups, including but not limited to religious institutions, rural residents, and the broader agricultural and vintner communities. Next slide, please. Process item number 2. Create a robust public process that elevates the expertise and voice of the community through a variety of meeting styles, such as charrette-style workshops and traditional outreach meetings. DPD is in the process of retaining a consultant to assist with developing and facilitating participation-based workshops with the rural community. Traditional outreach meetings will also be facilitated by the consultant once the revisions to the amendments are complete. The consultant may also facilitate preparation or presentations to the Agricultural Advisory Committee. And I do want to stress that revisions to the amendments will be informed by the feedback received from the public through upcoming workshops and from the previous outreach that was conducted in 2025, as well as the forthcoming consultations with the Agricultural Advisory Committee. Next slide, please. Policy item number 2. The on-site agriculture definition is to be revised. Consider an option to qualify farming based on demonstrating agricultural revenue, reduce on-site ag thresholds to align with the inclusion of small farms. DPD is conducting research regarding on-site agriculture requirements in comparable counties. Different approaches are currently being considered from what was proposed in 2025, including considering monetary thresholds. DPD must carefully consider the preservation of valuable farmland as well as expanding economic opportunities for agricultural businesses. This topic will be discussed during future workshops with the public. Next slide, please. Policy item number 5, develop a comprehensive program that would allow existing or future legal nonconforming business operations and structures that are grandfathered in to be legalized and expanded, ensuring existing businesses remain vibrant. In the planning profession, we don't use the term grandfathered. Instead, we say legal nonconforming. Grandfathered is a colloquial term that is commonly used by the public and intended to refer to legal nonconforming. Legally established uses and structures would automatically become legal nonconforming if amendments to the ordinance no longer allowed for that specific land use or structure to exist as it does today. To be considered legal, the structure or land use would need to ultimately fit into 2 different scenarios. And to set the stage, I'll clarify that zoning came into effect in the 1920s, and this jurisdiction began to require building permits as of 1947. So in scenario 1, if somebody constructed something in 1900, and that predated the zoning ordinance and permit requirements, that would be a legal nonconforming use or structure as of the time that the zoning ordinance and permit requirements were implemented. So if a barn was built in 1900 and it didn't meet setbacks, it's still fine even though it doesn't have a permit. It doesn't need to change to fit with the current code. In the second scenario, we have a land use or structure that was established once the zoning ordinance and these permit requirements were already in effect. And in order to be legal, it would have had to have been established in conformance with the zoning ordinance, and any required permits would have had to have been obtained, such as a building permit. And again, those uses, they can change over time, but they would have to change in conformance with whatever the current code is. So the amendments would apply if changes are made. To help account for land uses that are may become legal nonconforming as a result of the rural zoning amendments specifically, DPD is considering establishing a voluntary registry. The registry would give property owners the opportunity to submit documentation to the department to demonstrate their land use, such as planning, land use entitlements, or other relevant documents. DPD would not evaluate whether each land use submitted to the registry is legal nonconforming. The registry would instead operate as a repository of information for planning and code enforcement purposes. Next slide, please. Policy item number 6. Revise the 10,000 square foot building site coverage limit to non-agricultural structures for properties with on-site agriculture. Consider and present a percentage alternative that is proportionate to the parcel size. DPD is currently researching and considering a BSC percentage limitation relative to lot size as opposed to a square footage cap. And that would be for all rural properties, regardless of whether on-site ag is on the parcel. DPD is currently, the BSC would also serve to align development standards with policies in the general plan that call for limited development in the A, AR, and HS zones. Additionally, the BSC would replace subjective local serving requirements while aligning the general plan policies that require development to be sized appropriately for the RR zone. This topic will be discussed during future workshops with the public. Next slide, please. Policy item number 7. Establish a definition for agritourism and a permit process including but not limited to farm-to-table events and tours, farmers markets and food hubs, etc., as part of the rural zoning amendments. DPD is considering revisions to the land use classification titled Agricultural Sales and Events that was presented in 2025, including separating sales and events. DPD is assessing how to balance supporting rural property owners with agritourism businesses while protecting farmland parcels from conversion to non-agricultural uses. DPD must ensure that business activities are consistent with the general plan and ag plan policies and that they meet all necessary public health and safety requirements. This topic will be discussed during future workshops with the public. Next slide, please.
If I may, I'm going to jump in.
Yeah,
In light of the time, the hour, we're past noon, may I suggest that we end the presentation?
Certainly.
And that we be available for questions?
Certainly.
And public comment. Thank you. Thank you, staff.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to public comment. Are there any members of the public?
We have 8 to speak in chambers, and there is movement on Zoom. We're climbing, currently at 6, 7.
Okay, let's go 1 minute.
Okay. We will start with those in chambers. We have the first 5 can speak in any order. Vicky Kermoyan, Paul Kermoyan, Christine Kaiser, Katya Wick, and Rachel Parlark.
Hi, Vicki Kermoyan from P&V Winery. After November's Board of Supervisors directive, we felt very heard, hopeful for our future as ag businesses. We waited patiently for almost 4 months to find out when the committees would be formed. I'm glad to hear that that's in the works. We were surprised, I'll be honest with you, when we read the report from the planning director. We felt like the board's direction that you talked about in November seemed to be ignored or not as emphasized. It seems like there's more than there was before. It's doubled down. There's more added layers instead of peeling back like we thought was going to happen to make it easier to be a successful ag business. We are taxpayers, we're voters, we're kind of exhausted with the process, but we're hopeful. We believe that it's really important that we have a voice in developing the policies that will affect our futures and the futures of those that want to come behind us and do the same kind of business. We feel like we believe in the democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul Kermoyan, P&V Winery as well. So the board did request that staff report back in the spring to discuss how the process will move forward and the project's policy consideration. Formation of an advisory committee was a crucial component of that. The staff comments on development standards, I think really should be postponed until an advisory committee is formed and they have a say in what is being proposed. Applicable policies was also a crucial component in terms of what policies in the ag plan, the general plan will apply to this project. And what the public was hoping was that those will all be itemized and illustrated. It's pretty clear to pull those. That should have been the first step in this whole process. What are the policies we're trying to implement? So that's what we're requesting at this point. Clearly articulate the advisory committee's role and responsibilities, and what are the policies. Thank you.
Good morning, committee. My name is Rachel Park. I'm the Santa Clara County Horsemen's Public Relations Director. So we do not have a specific property, but we represent all the horse owners in the area. And so 3 small stories came to mind. One man who has boarding, breeding, but he also had farm, had to close down his farm area because he wasn't sure what was going to happen. When you think about your crops, you have to know in advance what's going on. So now if we're looking at 2027, we do not want it rushed, but we do want you to be aware that this, of course, affects people. Another group who has lessons is not able to get a cover for the arena right now for permitting purposes. I'm not sure if he's running into the same issue as the other gentleman, as this process is just taking longer. coverage in arena is good for safety of those who are riding horses in inclement weather. And then thirdly, I'm serving actually with Hernandez on agritourism, and so I'm hoping is now online instead of in person.
I will call the next three speakers, Kelly Arardi, Sharon Luna, and Stephen McHenry. And last call for a Christine Kaiser.
Good afternoon. My name's Kelly Arardi. I'm here representing VCI in Garden Green Garlic Solar. We have an agrivoltaic application in with the county, and in order for it to be further processed, we need some changes in the zoning ordinance, which you're working on now. But I just wanted to let you know that, in agrivoltaics, agriculture remains a primary use. It enhances the ability to preserve agricultural land and provide ancillary beneficial uses. It's a more efficient growing situation is created where less water is used. The plants that are grown can become more efficient and create a higher yield because there's shading, there's no soil disturbance or very little. Additional income is generated on the site also that allows a farm that might not be used anymore to be used because of the additional income that is created, and it helps preserve ag. So thank you, and we hope you'll continue to consider this in your zoning update. Thank you.
Stephen McHenry, I'm president of the San Martin Neighborhood Association and co-owner of a local equestrian center. In some recent communications with planning, it sounded like planning felt approval was needed here, yet on the agenda it just says receive report. So I'd like that clarified if it's actually going to be an approval given, or if it's just a report, in which case no further action would be needed for planning to proceed with the implementation of this. Thank you.
Is that it for public comment?
We still have Sharon Luna approaching the podium.
Great.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sharon Luna, and I'm with the San Martin Neighborhood Association, and I'm also a resident of San Martin. I'm appreciative of this report. I think that our farms and our other businesses that do with farming would appreciate a more controlled and structured. You have to have rules. You have to have them in order to not be in this situation. I'm hearing the same things today that I heard in 2018. Some of you weren't around, but this is almost verbatim. And I think it's time that we say we respect farming, we respect our those agritourism, we move forward to give them the support, but we also have to remember that there are residents that are surrounding. We cannot exclude their concerns. We have traffic that is a very big issue in San Martin. Thank you very much for your time.
We will now move on to our Zoom speakers. Our first speaker is Frank Johnson. Your mic will be unmuted and the timer will begin when you start speaking.
Good afternoon. I'm Frank Johnson, the Executive Director of Visit Gilroy. I want to voice my support for the most recent letter submitted by Kim Engelhardt, the President of the Wineries of Santa Clara Valley, considering this matter, and emphasize just how critical the wineries, small farms, and stables are, not just for our tourism, but for our quality of life for all residents of the Santa Clara Valley. Gilroy and the South Valley are very proud to be a bastion of agriculture in the tech magnet of Silicon Valley. The open spaces are vital to our collective quality of life and our economy. In addition, the Ag Liaison position is critical for this process to work and imperative in facilitating conversation between the stakeholders. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Stephanie Rocha.
Hi, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. You cannot preserve ag land if you don't preserve economic viability of the ag operator. I'm going to make sure that's clear because right now, the planning department requires a farmer to get a use permit for camps and retreats with a starting application fee of $14,000, just so that maybe the farmer will have the opportunity to give a small farm tour, a workshop, or a farm-to-table dinner. This does not preserve economic viability of the ag operator. We need two things going forward. First, we need stakeholders like the South County Farms Association to be involved in the actual drafting of the rural zoning amendments before they're issued. And we need a real moratorium on enforcement actions in the meantime. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dana De Frates.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, Vice Chairwoman Arenas. Dana DeFreitas here, owner of 10 acres in Gilroy, home of DeFreitas Horsemanship. When I decided to purchase my property and build my business in this county, I spent significant time researching the zoning and business requirements of the different incorporated and unincorporated areas in my search zone. It has always struck me as odd that businesses in the unincorporated areas of our county are not required to obtain business license to operate. I understand business regulation is not the purpose of this committee, but it really does seem to me, and I'm sure a whole lot of business owners are going to hate me for this, but it seems to me that a lot of the issues we are trying to address with these zoning amendments could be solved by requiring businesses to obtain a license in our unincorporated areas. Thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Kim E.
Hi, good afternoon. This is Kim Engelhardt again, grape farmer and winery owner in Santa Clara County, as well as the president of the Wineries of Santa Clara Valley. I support the county's goal of protecting agricultural land, and I want to emphasize a critical point. Farmland is only preserved if farming is economically viable. Saying it another way, preserving farmland and preserving farming are not the same thing. For many of us, especially small operations, direct-to-consumer sales are not secondary or ancillary. Wineries are not just ag processing. We are farming, production, and direct sales. Tastings are not events, and they're not optional. They are how we sell what we grow. Small events and winery visits are essential to staying in business. If those activities are restricted or treated as something other than core agricultural use, it puts real pressure on us to survive in an already terrible market. If we get this balance wrong, we're not going to prevent farmland loss, we're going to accelerate it by making farming less viable.
Our next speaker is Gilroy Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, once again, it's Christina Cortez, the Executive Director of the Gilroy Chamber, representing 450 businesses in Gilroy and South County, and of course, agricultural operators. The Gilroy Chamber stands in alignment with the past speakers in South County. We share your goal of preserving agricultural land, but again, want to make it clear that preserving open land and preserving working farms are two different things, and it's hard to save farmland by creating so many obstacles for our farmers to operate the business successfully. In South County, agriculture is our economic engine. We're proud of our ag businesses and want to encourage ag tourism and all that comes with it. So we're supportive of forming the Agricultural Advisory Committee and coming to the table with county stakeholders to continue to refine this. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Gilroy Mayor Greg Bozzo.
Thank you very much. I wanted to share some of the sentiment that I hear from my farming friends and the relationships that I have down here in South County. One thing that they believe and they think, and I believe this is of all of ag folks, whether it's 1,000 acres or 5 acres, is that in general, everybody believes that agriculture is a great thing. It's great for our economy, it's great for our tourism, it's great for our identity. The gap is, what we believe down here is that that doesn't translate to the zoning and to the actions
of the planning department, unfortunately. Now, what I'm hearing today about leaning heavily towards this Ag Advisory Committee is very, very, very important, and I'm looking very much forward to seeing how that goes. And as someone who's been involved in horticulture and as the mayor of Gilroy, I'm very hopeful that my application will be considered to be on that commission. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Ali.
Hi, good morning. My name is Allie, and I'm a small farm operator in South Santa Clara County. I'm speaking today because this matters deeply to those of us who are actually trying to keep agriculture alive in this county. We built our farms based on the county's 2018 agricultural plan. We believed in that vision, and we put everything into trying to make it work. A big part of the issue I see with the planning department is that these policies are being developed through an urban lens and not a rural or agricultural one. Farming operates very differently, and that difference is not being reflected here. If the county truly wants to get this right, farmers should be treated as the experts and brought in as consultants in shaping these policies, not just participants after the fact. We are not the problem. We are the ones still actively farming and trying to keep the land viable.
Our next speaker is Zoe Davis.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Zoe Davis. I'm the owner of Full Circle Farm. And first, I'd like to say thank you to the planning staff for working on this and continuing to drive the rural zoning amendment process. I'm delighted that the DPD will be creating an advisory committee, and we would like to ensure that the committee and the public are involved with the actual creation of the policy instead of being asked to review an already completed draft. Additionally, the recommendation to introduce permitting requirements for farm stands is a step backwards, and it's inconsistent with the board's adopted Valley Agriculture Plan. Lastly, we'd like to see a response to the referrals request for structural changes to code enforcement to prevent it from being used to inappropriately target neighbors. Thank you so much.
And that was our final speaker.
Great, thank you so much. We'll close public comment, bring it back to the committee. Supervisor Arenas, do you have comments?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience. Whether you're online or in person here, you've made your way to our county building. I'm grateful for your participation and your feedback. I rely on what. Let me just take a step back. As a policymaker, I typically think about what is the problem that is at the center of the question, and is there a problem? How are we solving for it? And who's going to help address those issues? And so you always have to take a look at the stakeholders, and whether they agree with you or not. Some of the best advice I have received is that you always listen to both sides. And you have to make sure that you are not inadvertently creating some policy mishaps because you've not listened to either side. In this example, I think what is clearly missing and continuing to be absent is the integration of the feedback from our agricultural industry, from the different industries that are in as part of my district. And so I'm saddened that we haven't moved as quickly as we want, and that this presentation began with an example of how agricultural land might be misused. But the truth is that the agricultural industry is fighting to survive. And part of that survival is changing the kind of services, the kind of products that they may serve or offer folks. As you've seen, anyone has seen any romantic comedy, you'll see pick your own apples or pick your whatever cherries as part of a date. Right? Something that people enjoy doing, participate in, understand and appreciate the land. but it also offers them an experience. And so this is a progression of the industry. It is not because once upon a time we felt that picking apples was very romantic and that's what we wanted to do, but it's because the industry has responded to our interest. We don't have agriculture everywhere, and so there's a need to return to the land to understand where oranges come from, and orange juice is not from the fridge, right? And it's not actually on trees. Believe it or not, I did have a kiddo who actually thought that. Not my kids. Not that it would be bad if my kids assumed that. Not trying to kid shame anyone, but the truth is that we don't understand where how we're being fed, and where all that produce and fruits and vegetables and flowers and everything that is, yes, even wine, yes, of course, including wine, that we must acknowledge that right in our own backyard, as you stated, Jack, excuse me, that our industry produces $389 million. So it's nothing to shrug about. It's something to be absolutely proud. And so I think that we need to recognize how the industry has moved to make sure that they continue to be viable, that they continue to exist in our own backyard, and that they are moving towards the compliance and also changing rules that were formed long ago. I've always acknowledged publicly we haven't updated comprehensively our general plan since 1996. And we have, even though we have adjusted other policies, we haven't comprehensively done that as an agency. And so there's work that needs to be done internally, and also recognize what the industry how the industry has changed and what it provides and how it's providing it, and ensure that those rules are not inadvertently interrupting a business model that works and that is continuing to keep agriculture alive. And so for that and for so many different reasons, I know that everybody's been here for quite some time. I won't be repetitive, but I do want to acknowledge that there is a level of respect for the industry. I know it comes from our planning department. I know it comes from our deputy county executive's office. And sometimes maybe we just don't get it right in terms of process. There's so much work to be done. As you heard in prior items, there's a whole process of revision and to internally to the planning department. So there's a lot of really wonderful work that's being done. But it doesn't mean that this gets lost in the shuffle, right? And so because of that, I want to ensure that our industry, our stakeholders are heard and integrated into the process. Not all of the rules are going to work for everyone, but we want to get it right for the majority of folks and the industry that exists in our own backyard so that you can continue to be there. So I'm going to make a motion to direct, make a recommendation, to our administration to immediately initiate the applications of interest for the Agricultural Advisory Committee and ensure that that appointments are made in consultation with my office. And thank you, Mayor Bozo, for your interest. We will consider your application in this process. There's no assurances, we'll see. But we want to make sure that all voices are heard. And so because of that, I want to ask that before the reports are provided here to this committee, that they're also provided to this advisory, the Agricultural Advisory Committee. One, that there's a level of integration of feedback based on the memo that I have already provided, the 13 points of direction that I have given, and that the committee also receives, the Agricultural Advisory Committee receives updates. So one, that their feedback is integrated. Two, that they receive updates before those updates are provided here to this committee, because I heard you loud and clear that you feel like maybe those are more solidified once they come here. Believe me, the chair will not, and I won't either solidify those until we hear back from our stakeholders. I think that as policymakers, that's typically how we function. I don't mean to speak for you, Chair, but I think that is something that, and thank you for agreeing on that. And so the third thing is that before, to ensure that the board policy direction is being robustly followed and brought as options for the consultation of the new Agricultural Advisory Committee, and like I mentioned, including all 13 of my policy requests, and that agrovoltaics, we heard you, which is a request to the board President Lee, be integrated and ensure that no policy decisions be solidified without consulting the Agricultural Advisory Committee once it's formed. And so we understand that agrovoltaics is an integration of solar panels and might create a lot of benefit to the industry. I can't make those decisions here on the dais. I want to make sure that the advisory committee allows for that part of the discussion and takes on that topic, brings back your recommendations to this committee and then to the full board. And lastly, that the county council and administration provide an off-agenda memo regarding the prioritization strategy for code enforcement and moratorium, code enforcement fee waivers, and then the consultation selection process. And so that is my motion.
Great, thank you so much. Very appreciate the very comprehensive motion, and I'm happy to second that. I think it's all been covered. I appreciate the work being done here to protect the agricultural lands that we have. I'm disappointed, or it's unfortunate that we've lost so many acres over time. And this is, I know it's it's complex and not without controversy, but these are important amendments that we need to make to ensure that we protect future workable land. So I have a few questions, but I'll probably just ask them offline. Very much appreciate the input from the public and the interest, and I look forward to your participation and your guidance as we move forward on this. And I would just reiterate, yes, I'd like to hopefully see this moving at a quick pace. And with that, I'll second the motion, and if we can take a roll call vote, please.
Vice Chairperson Arenas
Yes.
and Chairperson Abecoga.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll go on to item 7, which is a verbal report on the agricultural worker housing. Ms. Gallegos, Ms. Consuelo.
Good afternoon, Chair Consuelo Hernandez, Deputy County Executive. I will make it brief. I just wanted to share that Deputy County Executive Gallegos and myself are working together to bring back a more formal report around this body of work in conjunction with the balance of the agricultural economic development. So you'll be getting one comprehensive quarterly report that brings together the ways that the county supports the ag industry. And a bit of good news to share with you is that Congressmember Zoe Lofgren had submitted a proposal on our behalf related to an agricultural resource center, and we did receive that funding of $850,000, and so we'll be working to implement that, which is part of the plan. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Congresswoman, for that. Any questions on this item? Any public comment? All right, let's go public comment.
I do not have any requests to speak.
Okay. Any questions or comments, Supervisor? All right, thank you. We'll move on to the reports from our departments, and in the interest of time, I'll just look towards you if anyone has an announcement. I think we have a good written report, so great. Any public comment on?
I do not have any requests to speak.
Great. Well, with that, I believe we are at adjournment, and we will be adjourned until our next meeting that I understand that next week's meeting needs to be rescheduled, and our next regular meeting is scheduled for Thursday, May 14th, 2026 at 10 a.m. in the Board of Supervisors chambers. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for your patience, and have a wonderful afternoon. Take care.